Screencast 56, Creating EP Charting Controls. Welcome Dynamics AX content creators. Today we're going to discuss some strategies for improving the overall experience of role centers in Dynamics AX 2012. Now what you'll see today is completely new with the Dynamics AX 2012 R2 release. Today we're going to focus on things we've done to expand the toolbox of BI tooling for AX developers. Specifically, the EP chart control was introduced as a high-speed alternative to visualize business data in our Role Center pages. What they do is allow users to consume large amounts of data with ease. They're clean views of data which are relevant to the unique needs of various roles in an organization. So today we'll focus on three areas, providing you insights on the basic steps involved in creating a new chart control. Development for these things is done in using Visual Studio 2010. And it's based on the .NET framework, .NET 3.5 framework charting control. So there's no additional administration or IT required. Setup takes care of ensuring you have everything you need to take advantage of this control. We'll also go into how you can prepare VVS for a quick and easy debugging experience, and give you some recommendations on how to begin your development effort. So with that, let's look at an environment I have up and running. Now what I have here is a pre-release of AX R2, AX 2012 R2, and what you'll see with the R2 release is a dramatic shift in our role centers away from SSRS and large lists, grids of data, and we've moved to the chart control as an alternative means of just giving users a large amount of insight in their data without overwhelming them with numbers, and giving them a web performance that they expect. So if you see I'm coming in here, I'll go ahead and refresh this page. And what you'll notice is these chart controls render as though we're running on a website. You don't get the wait cursor. Things go pretty fast, and that's what people expect when using role centers. So I'll show you really quickly how to produce something that's similar to here. As you see, we have three graphics on this role center page, and each three of these is an individual chart control. And these are nothing more than user controls that are augmented by our framework, to really give you quick, easy access to AX data. So I'll come in here to Visual Studio. This is really where you're going to do the bulk of your development. All I've done here is I've created a new project using the Microsoft Dynamics AX templates, and this is going to be an EP web application. So go ahead and give it any name you'd like. Create your project. Now that I've done that, I'm going to want to prepare this project so that it will be easy for me to debug here. And the first thing you're going to do is make sure that you have a reference to the SharePoint assembly. So you can go ahead and see the path. This is a GACT assembly, so you'll want to find the path to this DLL and just add a reference to your project to get you started. Now, once I've done that, I'm basically ready to start adding user controls to this project. So I'll go ahead and start doing that now. And I simply do that by right-clicking on the project. This is one way. You can do add new item. You could have also used the file new menu. Again, you'll see a list of templates that are installed by Dynamics. Let's go ahead and select Microsoft Dynamics AX and select the EP chart control. We can give it a name that's relevant to the data you're going to be visualizing, but today I'll just say test chart. And again, these are going to be the names that end users will see when they're searching for this control in their SharePoint site. So as they're adding web controls, this is the name that you'll use to identify this individual chart. So I've got a chart control here now. The ID of the control is test chart. What I need to do so I can actually debug in Visual Studio is go over to my default.aspx file, find the zone templates, and under AX user control, I'm going to come to the hint here and add a new tag, and I'm going to select manage content item equals, and then I'm going to give it the name of my control. In this case, our chart's named is test chart, so I'll go ahead and write test underscore chart. Save this. Okay, and now we're ready to debug. But before we do, let's go ahead and add some data to the chart so we'll actually have something to visualize. Now, what you've seen once this chart control is introduced is that we gave you an ASPX file, that ASPX file that has controls defined. Let's go ahead and ignore the two controls at the top and bottom for now and focus just on the chart control itself. And one thing we'll want to do is delete this data source ID. We'll talk more about this in future sessions, but essentially this binds your chart control to an AX data source. For now, we're going to use static data, so we're going to remove this. And I have a series already defined, and the series is nothing more than a set of data points defined. So I'm going to define a collection of data points. Now I happen to have some code here that already has these data points defined, so I'll drop that right in here. But you have IntelliSense support that helps guide you through this just to make sure that you're using the right tags. And you also have the added input or ability to set properties for any of these aggregates using the properties window here in Visual Studio. So that's it. Let's just set that, see what happens, save our work, and hit F5. You might get an error. Don't worry about it. Let SharePoint and Visual Studio work out their issues. And in the end, you should be left with an actual chart control that's already got formatting that displays some basic data in the structure you've laid out. Now, before closing that window, let's go ahead and introduce a couple other things so that we can see the types of interactions we have available to us. So one of the things I like to do is add, a chart title. So let's do it above the series. It doesn't really matter where. Let's go ahead and add a titles aggregate. And within it, we'll go ahead and define a title. I'm only going to use there's not going to be any data here. I'm just going to set some properties on this. And let's just give it the text equals chart title. Let's save that. Come back over to our control, hit F5. And look at that. Immediately you see a formatted chart title that has settings established by the framework so that it gives you a nice clean look and is consistent with the rest of the AX UI. Now we have full support for AX labels here. So there's you can totally replace this with a formatted AX label. So that's about it. I just wanted to give you the basics on how to introduce a charting control. Come back for our future sessions where we'll focus on how to go about adding additional series and bringing the chart control into default role centers. Now, I just checked the clock, and that's all the time I got. I really appreciate you spending the time with us here today. Again, my name is TJ Vassar. If you have any topics you'd like to see covered in future sessions, be sure to let us know. You can reach me on our blog at msdn.com. Just search for Dynamics AX BI and get plugged in. Thanks for watching.